Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guest today is Blake Shaw, who is going to be performing for the final Jazz Into the Stars performance coming up this year. Yes, good point. Coming up this coming Thursday, and Blake, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I always love coming in here, doing anything for you guys. So thank you for having me again.
Well, we want to talk about the Big Ish band, and we're really excited to have that at Jazz Into the Stars because you haven't had it. That band doesn't come together terribly often.
Not terribly often. Yeah. You're right. It's a little bit difficult to get a regular big band together, which is like 20 members. This one is a smallish one,
but even 11 or not, whatever it is, it's not easy.
12? Oh no, 11 that night. Yeah, 11 that night, and you're right. It's not easy to get everyone together, so it's a really special event, I think.
Yeah, and we have one member coming from out of state. We'll talk about that as well. But let's start. Oh gosh. You are, one of the state's preeminent bass players, composer. You've released several albums as a leader. You have multiple groups, regular gigs that we'll also plug as we go. But you grew up in Lisbon, and Little Lisbon. And did you always love music, or how did that start?
I really did. You can ask any of my family members that I really, just from a very, very young age, I was always musical. I was always in choir at school. I went to church a lot when I was younger, and I was frequently playing music for the services there. And I think, if I remember correctly, my first real solo in school was third grade or something like that. And The Lion Sleeps Tonight, that tune, I sang that as a solo. So I have kind of known that it was going to be something important in my life for a very long time. I don't think to the magnitude that it is today. I don't really know that I've been working towards that for very long.
Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, but I'm happy it's here. I'm working hard at it now that it is here, but it definitely is a kind of a surprise to me.
You started as a singer, and what was your first instrument?
My first, I started on piano first, and then in school I started on trombone actually, which didn't last very long, unfortunately.
Then when you got to high school, though, that was when, jazz band needed a bass, right?
Yes.
Needed a bass player.
Yeah.
And were you already playing guitar then?
I was playing guitar already. I just had some interest. Like I said, I was playing in church and stuff, and a lot of the church music, there's an acoustic guitar or whatever. And so it was a really accessible instrument for me. I had a good teacher that gave me a few lessons, and I kind of went off on my own. But yeah, my director, jazz band, high school band director, Roger DeYoung, found out that I was playing guitar, and kind of how a lot of bass origin stories happen. The band needed a bassist. This person kind of could do it, so I stepped in, and I ended up having a blast. And
so that was electric bass.
That was electric bass.
So
first, yeah.
Not a terrible transition.
No,
a lot of the skills from guitar transfer.
Absolutely. For the music geeks out there, the first 4 strings on guitar are tuned the same as on the bass, just an octave lower. So I already knew where all the notes were, or kind of. I was getting there. And it was just a really smooth transition, especially from going guitar just a little bit bigger to electric bass. Isn't that big of a jump? If I went from guitar to upright bass, it might be a little bit harder.
When did the upright double bass show up?
So pretty soon. I really think it was just a year that I did electric bass in jazz band, high school jazz band. And Mr. DeYoung saw that I was just having a blast, and I let him know several times that I was. And he suggested that I try upright bass. And now, at that time in my life, I had seen an upright bass or acoustic bass before, but it wasn't as important as I would find out later. So I was like, yeah, of course, yeah, I'd love to try this other bass instrument or whatever. So he actually bought had the maybe they didn't buy it yet, but I think it was actually just borrowed from West Music or something. One of those stick basses. So this is an electric upright bass without the body, just the neck and the strings and maybe something for your side sometimes. I tried it and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Now I hate them. That it's not my bag. But I loved it, and he said, okay, well, maybe I can get you a real one. And somehow he sweet talked the whoever runs the money at the high school level, and they bought a double bass. And that was really special because if Lisbon is super, super tiny. I back in my days, I graduated with 50 kids in my class, and I was the only one playing double bass in the whole entire school. So it was pretty special.
So and no orchestra.
Nope,
so
no orchestra.
No string program or anything like that. So you're literally the only string player in the entire school.
I've played a lot of marches for a string player.
And what was that transition like, moving from the electric bass to the? I assume that you're just plucking and and playing it. You're probably not doing much bowing at this point.
At this point, no. I mean, I was really trying. I'm really honest about this. I honestly don't remember struggling in a negative sense because I loved it so much. Oh man, I was having so much fun and I wanted to be good at this instrument. So everything that my teachers were giving me, Roger was helping me as much as he could because he's a sax player. I did take one summer lessons. I wish I had more. One summer lessons with local bassist John Hall. He was my first real bass teacher. But I like I said, I don't really remember struggling. I was just having so much fun with it, and So your question was, how was the transition? It was fun.
Well, you were enjoying it. Yeah. It's not work. It's not work when you enjoy it.
Exactly. And the double bass is just a little bit bigger, so it is physically harder to play a little bit. But I took to it really well, and I stuck with it. I kind of threw down the electric bass for many years up until maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. I started practicing electric bass again.
Well, and then you made the best decision of your life. You came to Kirkwood.
Yeah.
So this is the part of the interview that will go on the Kirkwood commercial.
Yep.
So you came here and continued to play in jazz band and study.
Kirkwood was the perfect place for me at that time. Just everything that they had to offer here was what I needed. And a lot of community colleges don't have what Kirkwood has. So it wasn't just because it was a community college or just because it was down the road for me. It was because it had what I needed at that time. And what I needed were people that show me and tell me that I could have a career in music. Still at 18, 19, I really didn't realize, I didn't know what making it or being successful in music, I didn't know what it really was yet. At that time it was just, people on the radio, people who were on MTV or whatever. I don't know why I said MTV. I hardly watch that. So I met Tim Feldkamp, I met Ray Saluka and Beth Zamzow, and they all three inspired me in such different ways that have really led to what I'm doing today. And I got scholarships for playing. I played in every ensemble I think that they had to offer. I can't think of one that they had that I wasn't in. And so I just got so much playing time on the instrument that I'd only started like 2 years prior to this. And that was perfect for me to move on to the University of Iowa. By the time I got to the University of Iowa, I was still a few years behind my peers, but in being in school and stuff like that, but learning or playing wise and stuff, I was able to keep up with them. There was things I needed to know, to theory wise and stuff like that, but in terms of playing and just doing it, I was right there with them. And I felt so prepared because of this place.
Did you ever think when you were in high school or even in Kirkwood that not only would you go on to college to study music, but that you would then go in, then you get an advanced degree. Now you got a master's.
I'm really you can ask a lot of people this. I'm really a day-to-day living day-to-day kind of guy. And so no, to answer your question, I did it. I was doing this fun thing with Jeanette Welch was my bass teacher here. She really got me ready for the University of Iowa bass studio with Volkan Orhan. But I guess sorry. No, wait, what was the question again?
All right, hang on just a second.
Rambled too much.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's see. So, oops, hang on. I gotta get my, all right, let me ask it a little bit differently. So you're in college, University of Iowa, on your way to your bachelor's degree, but then you decide to go on for an advanced degree. What led to that decision?
Well, I had a lot of great teachers. I was playing all this music, and I was learning and listening to music that I've never listened to before. And so my eyes and my mind are being opened up to this world that I had really no idea existed. And so the more I listened, the more I wanted to learn, the more I realized that, I gotta go on and do this. Before one of this is before the master's degree, I went on. I did a cruise ship gig.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So I took a year off in between my bachelor's degree and my master's degree, and that solidified that I needed to go back to school. I was doing good playing, but now I knew. Oh my gosh, I gotta work on this, and I gotta work on this. Sometimes in art, in a lot of other things. The more you learn that you need to learn more. So that's the space that I was in. I really love the cruise ship, but I'll never do it again. It's not my thing. I had a lot of fun, but I'll never do it again. So I at the end of that, I knew that I wanted to get a master's degree or something like that, and it just. Living day to day, it turned out that there was a TA position open, and John Rapson called me up and said, "Hey, there's this TA position. I know you're out gigging and stuff like that, but I just wanted to see where you're at." It was perfect because I wanted to get a degree, and I was like, "Oh, all right, I guess I'll stay in town and get a free degree or something."
So out of school, and of course you keep busy in performing and. But you're also have always worked in education your own self.
Tried.
Yeah. You've been a multi-year member of KCCK's middle school jazz band camp, and also your day job until recently was teaching music to preschoolers. To talk about that just a little bit about what you are working to accomplish when you're working with kids so young.
Yeah, you know what? It's been the job that I've had the longest. I work at the Hiawatha and Cedar Rapids Day School, and it's a private daycare, and I'm the music teacher, and it's an absolutely wonderful job for me because it's Monday through Thursday, and so I can take off during the weekend. But when I'm there, I have the best time because it's never like. Goals that can't be accomplished. I go in there with very low expectations, actually, and and
not low expectations, simple, achievable goals.
Yeah. Thank you for the words. Yes, we'll go with that because that's exactly what it is. I'm not going in there to create little Mozarts or musicians. I'm going in to help these people. Appreciate art, and know that there is a lot more out there than what they might be hearing in their homes right now, which isn't a bash on their parents at all. It's just we all grow up with what we love, and when we play and we look at the art in our houses that we love. So I'm there to open their minds a little bit and let them know that they can use this art to help them when they're feeling bad or when they're feeling really good. We talk about that. We talk about those types of feelings and how we can put them and use them in music. And it's so fun. And I just to reiterate, I'm talking about 1 to 5 year olds, you know, and I'm having those type of conversations with 1 to 5 year olds in different ways than with the 1s and the 5 year olds,
Sure.
of course. But it's wonderful. I love it, and I hope I get to do it for a long time.
So kids that age, no filter.
Yep.
So what's the craziest, most, embarrassing, most, oh my gosh, how did I ever get involved in this conversation situation you've ever been in?
There's so many, and I've been working there for 5 or 6 years now. I'm just so used to it. I can't even think. I think I love blowing their brains up about I wear an earring, and sometimes I wear colors that boys can't wear or something like that, and they're just so blown away by all those kind of things, and it makes me laugh. Like I get to help you realize you can do almost whatever you want in this world, guys.
Now, at the other end of the educational spectrum, you are taking over this fall as director of the jazz band at Cornell.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So talk about coming full circle. There you are, back home again.
I know, so close to home. Mount Vernon, Iowa, right next to Lisbon. I cannot tell you how proud of myself I am and excited I am to be doing something like that. The jazz, so I'm going to be directing the jazz band at Cornell College starting here in a couple weeks or so. And how did I come to it? I mean, I was just working hard.
Yeah. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels wonderful. My buddy who was working there before, Jim Bunig, gave me a really good recommendation, and it just all came in like very easily. And I'm like I said, I'm just so honored to be able to be in a position where that is an easy process. To be swept up in there at Cornell just so easily is really sweet.
Well, we've talked about so much. We've talked about education and your other jobs. We've not given hardly any time to you as a performer, although anyone who has listened to KCCK for more than a few minutes has heard you, whether it's one of your own album releases that we play or your many appearances at First Friday Jazz. You've been on the stage at Jazz Into the Stars many times in different groups. But this is your first time as a leader.
This is.
And you're bringing the Biggish Band. So
go big or go home.
Go big or go home. So you'd done mainly your own work, was your trio and your quintet. So what led you to do a bigger band?
Those things. All right. The playing in my trio and quintet, for that kind of music, I'm always thinking of bigger things, but how can I do it in this size? How can I do it with a trio? How can I do it with a quintet? So these arrangements they did come from those playing, but also I have so many friends that just happen to be great musicians, and I don't get to play with them all the time. So, a big band is the perfect way.
You got to bring everybody in. So, tell us who's in the band.
All right, so I have my regulars. I'll start with the rhythm section. Christopher Jensen on drums, who has been one of my best friends and probably the drummer that I play with most in Iowa. Here, he'll be on the drums. We have another one of my best friends, Dan Padley, on guitar, who makes everything he does sound 10 times better. I'm really, really pleased that he can join us. We also have coming from Northfield, Minnesota, we have David Hagedorn on vibraphone. And he has been a blessing to many musical projects that I've already done.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, he's a friend of Iowa Jazz. He attends. He's played at the Iowa City Jazz Festival, led his own band, played in some other bands, but he comes every year just for the hang.
I think he was telling me he's been to like 25 or so of them. He's quite a few. So he's a regular and wonderful, wonderful human being. So glad that he's coming all the way to play with us. And then, so we have one kind of extra person. in the rhythm section. Nolan Schrader, who usually plays saxophone, is going to play bass on a couple tunes, so I can sing a little bit freely and take more melodies on the electric bass. So that's really exciting. When he's only going to do that for a couple tunes, so he is going to play sax for most of the set. So he'll be in his regular spot there, and then next to him will be Ryan Smith, who is another regular person that I play with, who plays everything that has a reed on it, basically. So another great person to have in the band or any band. And then next to him will be, for the first time in the biggish band, Lynn Hart, playing, what do I have her? Alto and tenor she's going to double on. So another person who anything that she does, it makes it sound 10 times better. So I'm really, really happy that she was available too. And then the trombone section, I have two trombonists. Dr. Anthony Williams, who has played in the biggest band almost every time now, I think, actually. He might be one of the seniors of the band. So, of course, he's the trombone instructor at the University of Northern Iowa, and just an amazing player and another just amazing human being. And then next to him will be recently retired retired band director Rich Med on trombone as well. And then I'll have two trumpet players as well, and I got one of the leaders of the Iowa Women's Jazz Orchestra, who is playing the week before us, Tony Lefevre. And then another University of Tony's from UNI as well, but another UNI grad on trumpet, Kevin Banke, which he plays around town. He lives in Iowa City now. He's trying to be a dentist or something. He's a good player, so I let him in the band. But yeah, he's going to be.
Yeah, he did. I just met him this past year when he did Corridor Jazz Project.
Oh, yeah, nice.
What a great player.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, as you know, I mean, I'm sure everybody recognized at least a couple of names in this band. I'm just so honored and excited to play with all these people that I call my friends.
Let's talk about repertoire for a minute. Now, you mentioned singing. We should mention that we talked a lot about the bass, but last few years you've returned to your roots. We now discover since you started in choir and singing in church, and now you're doing some singing in addition to playing bass. So where do you look for tunes?
Oh, I love melodies. I love good melodies. I know that's kind of a simple answer or whatever, but I sing what I love. All these tunes. Finally, I've had maybe just a handful of biggish band gigs now, and this is the first time where every song I have is a banger. All right, every tune, there won't be any small group breakouts. Every song is going to be a big band song. That's something that I've been working towards. Usually I have to have 2 or 3 combo tunes to waste time or whatever. But all these tunes are tunes that I've been singing for a few years. There's a couple new tunes, but they're just all things that songs that I really feel in my soul, that I believe in the message, and I like the poetry, or I love the way the harmony wraps around the melody, all of that.
Well, it's the Blake Shaw Biggish Band to round out Jazz Under the Stars. We will have a young artist group to open the concert, which is going to be the Kirkwood Jazz Combo.
Oh, cool.
So it's kind of a Kirkwood themed night.
Cool.
Future Kirkwood alums and Jazz Under the Stars headliners, I hope, with any kind of luck. So it's just going to be a great night of music. And Blake, it's just been one of my personal great joys to get to know you and get to watch you, start as a student and now as one of our leading players and teachers. And I mentioned you're in our Schoolhouse Jazz Band, so you and I get to work together on that, which is a great joy as well. And just looking forward to seeing you on that stage.
Thank you so much. We are too.
All right, Thursday at 6:30 in Knoll Ridge Park. Hope you join us. Thanks, Blake. You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio many weekdays at 10:20, or download the podcast, watch or listen on your own schedule at kcck.org/culture, or however you get your podcasts. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.